The night she collapsed in the rain-soaked alley was the same night the city finally noticed her absence, and by then it was already too late to stop the clock that had been quietly counting down inside her chest. Officer Emily Carter, a woman known for standing longer than her strength allowed and believing harder than her body could endure, pressed her palm against the cold brick wall and felt the world tilt. Sirens wailed somewhere far away, but inside her, there was only a deep, echoing silence, the kind that comes when a person realizes they are running out of time and still have so much unfinished love left behind. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unexpected connections, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Also tell us in the comments where you're watching from, because stories like this connect hearts across understand boundaries. Emily had been a cop for 17 years, and for most of that time, she had hidden her illness behind discipline and routine. The diagnosis came quietly, like an unwanted whisper in a sterile hospital room, telling her that her heart was failing and the transplant list was long and uncertain. She chose to keep working, not because she was reckless, but because wearing the badge reminded her that her life still had meaning. Every shift felt like borrowed time, and she spent it generously, checking on the forgotten, listening to the broken, and showing up where others looked away. On one of those nights, she responded to a call that would change everything. A small apartment fire had broken out on the east side of the city, and among the smoke and confusion stood Daniel Brooks, a single father holding his young son, Lucas, wrapped tightly in a blanket. Daniel's eyes carried the exhaustion of a man who had been strong for too long without help. His wife had passed away 3 years earlier, leaving him to raise Lucas alone while juggling 2 jobs and a quiet grief that never fully healed. Emily noticed them not because they were loud, but because they were silent, standing off to the side as if trying not to take up space in a world that had already taken so much from them. Emily made it a habit to check in on families after incidents like that. In Daniel's case, it started with paperwork and resources, but it slowly became something more. She stopped by occasionally to make sure they were okay, sometimes bringing groceries, sometimes just sitting nearby while Lucas drew pictures on the floor. Daniel never asked for help, but Emily saw the cracks in his composure, the way his shoulders sagged when he thought no one was looking. In helping them, she felt a strange sense of peace, as if her fading strength was being replaced by purpose. As weeks turned into months, Emily's condition worsened. The police department began noticing her frequent hospital visits, the way she leaned a little harder on railings, the way her face grew paler under the fluorescent lights of the precinct. Still, she refused to step away. Daniel noticed too, though he didn't know the reason. He only knew that the woman who had entered his life unexpectedly seemed to be growing more fragile, even as her kindness toward his son remained unwavering. Lucas grew attached to Emily in a way that surprised everyone. The boy, who had barely spoken since his mother's death, began smiling more when Emily was around. He waited by the window when she was late and asked about her when days passed without a visit. For Emily, Lucas became a reminder of everything she would miss, and loving him quietly hurt in a way she never admitted to anyone. The turning point came when Emily collapsed during a routine patrol and was rushed to the hospital. This time, the doctors were honest. She had weeks, maybe months, unless a miracle happened. Word spread quickly through the department, leaving seasoned officers shaken and silent. Daniel found out through a social worker who had noticed his frequent interactions with Emily and thought he deserved to know. He visited her in the hospital, bringing Lucas along, and something unspoken passed between them, a shared understanding of loss and fear and the fragile beauty of being alive. As Emily lay in that hospital bed, she made a decision that would later shock the entire police force. She requested that if anything happened to her, Daniel be granted guardianship of a small trust she had quietly set aside, along with a letter explaining her wish for him to use it for Lucas's future and for other children who needed help. But that wasn't what truly stunned everyone. Emily also registered as an organ donor, making a specific request that her heart be given to the first eligible recipient, no matter who they were. Fate, in its cruel and beautiful unpredictability, intervened. Daniel had been experiencing unexplained fatigue and dizziness for months, symptoms he ignored because he couldn't afford to be weak. A routine checkup revealed that his own heart was failing rapidly. When the transplant team ran the compatibility tests, the results left doctors speechless. Emily Carter and Daniel Brooks were a perfect match. Emily passed away quietly one early morning as sunlight crept through the hospital blinds. Her funeral drew officers from across the state, all standing in silence as her badge was folded and presented with trembling hands. Days later, Daniel underwent a transplant surgery that lasted hours and felt like an eternity to everyone waiting outside. When he survived, when his new heart began beating strong and steady, the truth came out. The police department was stunned. The woman who had spent her life protecting strangers had saved one more family with her final act. Officers who once saw Emily as just another dedicated cop now spoke her name with reverence. Her story spread through the city, through social media, through quiet conversations between parents and children. Lucas grew up knowing that the heart beating in his father's chest once belonged to a woman who believed he deserved a future filled with hope. Years later, Daniel would attend police memorials with Lucas standing proudly beside him, telling the story not as a tragedy, but as a legacy. Emily Carter was gone, but her kindness lived on, pulsing through every moment of their lives, reminding them that love does not end with death, it only changes form. If this story touched your heart even a little, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to the channel so more stories of hope and humanity can reach the world. Please comment below and tell us what part of this story moved you the most, because your words help keep stories like Emily's alive. In the end, the police were shocked not because a dying cop saved a single father, but because she proved that even when life is slipping away, one heart can still change everything.